Alright. Sorry it's late today. Having issues with my microphone. I have no idea how to resolve those issues. So that'll be fun. Alright, so we're going back to working on the wind chime. Which last time I already cut our pipes out. I was just in the middle of cleaning some of them up. Put these back in order. Alright, there we are. So, you can see they start off as just these crappy remnant pipes that I've got from the metal store. And then when I hit them with the wire wheel, it just kind of cleans them up a little bit. So that'll give me a good base to start from, whether I want to paint them from there or further sand them down to get the bare metal look. But for now, I'll just keep cleaning these up. So, the wire wheel uses a bunch of little wound together wires spinning at high speeds, and they tend to fly off and stick in stuff, so I like to use the heavy duty gloves for those whenever I'm using this thing, which is that. Alright. think we'll drill some holes. I think tomorrow I'm going to go back to the metal shop and get probably a 4 or 6 inch piece of pipe, so a relatively large pipe, and then I'm going to cut it about an inch, maybe half an inch thick all the way through, so I have just a ring, and I think that's what I'm going to use as the ring that all these dangle off of. So I think that'll give me the most consistent and easiest way to do that. And I actually have another design for a wind chime, just a single pipe wind chime that I want to use that for, where it's just one pipe, you cut up on both sides, and then you put your clacker in the middle, and it's more of like kind of a really deep bell or like gong sound when it goes off. It sounds kind of neat, so I can use that for that as well. So we'll see. Alright. So these have the factory bottom on them. And then the bottom that I pipe cut. I think I want to keep the factory cut down, just so if it's hanging and somebody, for whatever reason, sticks their finger in there, it's just the factory edge is a little bit smoother than my cut. Not by a lot, really, especially when I hit it on the edge, but yeah. There we go. All right. So that is all 6 of our pipes for a wind chime. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to measure down probably just an inch. Then I'm going to punch these and then drill holes in them. All right. So I'll probably use this again for that. So I'll make sure to come down. Yeah, it's just a little smoother. I'll come down an inch from my cut. All right. Use our Mandalorian armoring hammer. Okay. You know, I'm going to come down half an inch. All right. This doesn't need to be a super heavy duty punch, just enough to catch the drill bit. Don't think we need a hole quite that big. Okay. Oh, I have a feeling this drill bit is about done. Yeah, that's not cutting at all. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it looks pretty dull. Great. Well, try a bigger size. I don't have anything standardized for these yet, so. There we go, already cutting. I should have, yeah, little baby can. This is a good way to snap a drill bit. Alright, we're through the first one. There we go, we got a hole. Alright, I will come back and clean those up afterwards. There you go, keep everything all nice and lined up assembly line style. There we go. Alright. Mark it at 1/2 inch. Try to get that as straight up and down as possible. Alright. Gotta get one of those little leather like mag pouches, but for WD-40 that Hank Hill has. Full on in the dad gear. I did just think of something. If these are drilled kind of at an angle, if I just, as I'm drilling through, it's not perfect, they might sit cockeyed. Not much to do for it now except attempt not to do that. I don't know, maybe that'll add character. If that does end up happening, I think I can get in there with my file and bring, so if one side's a little bit higher and the rope comes across, it'll hang a little bit lower there. If I come in with a file on this side and file it up, then they'll sit right. The hole be a little oblong maybe, but it'll at least hang right, which I think is more important for a wind chime. What I think I'll do next time, I need to get a chuck key for my old drill press, and I can use that. Maybe make a little jig, so something I can just set on there that the pipe sits in between and locks in. I suppose I could just use clamps to do it too. That way, I know it's perfectly drilling at a 90 through the whole time. If I'd have thought about that before, I'd have done it before. 2 more. Then I'm thinking about trying to hang them from something. See how off they are. But I suppose either way I gotta wait for the rest of that pipe, so I'll just take care of it on Thursday, which will be the next time I'm working on this. just thinking too, if it's a balance issue with the weight of the pipe, if there's more weight on one side just because the hole's not perfectly dead center through the middle of it, but it's like off just a hair sideways, that could cause it to list one way or the other. I can come back in here on the top with my file and actually file out chunks. I don't know if it'll be enough to affect that, but maybe. These are all the weird things running through my head while I'm attempting to do this. Drill press, that'll make everything easier. But that's why I do these prototype projects, to learn how to do it better next time. Better, quicker, and cheaper. All right. So, tomorrow I'll get that pipe. I think for now, where's my notebook? All right, so this is the basic design we got going. So we got the wind chime, 6 pipes are gonna be in a circle. Some of these notes are wrong, or I've decided to change them. Instead of just a ring at the top, we're gonna use that piece of pipe cut pretty thin, maybe 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. That'll go around, it'll have holes drilled in it for the pipes to go up to and then tie off. And then from there, we'll have other, for ease, I'll just have in that hole, because there'll be just a little hole drilled in it, it'll tie around the bottom part, and then an extra rope will tie from the bottom here up to our anchor that goes up to the hook, which, I can make the hook right now, actually. A little hook that hooks onto your nail, the edge of your trellis, or whatever you're hanging it from, your eye hook. So, for that, I have some 1/4 inch steel here. Some pretty thin round stock, which I think could make a pretty good little hook. Maybe. What else do I have? I have some thicker steel I could cut into the shape of like a little hook. I could even, if I cut the shape out, then just drill a hole through the little bottom part, but that seems more trouble than it's worth. Wish I had my torch up and running. If I had my oxyacetylene torch up and running, then I could very easily use that that 1/4 inch round stock. But I'm waiting for a part to come back for it. The regulator, one of the regulators is bad, so I have that already off at the repair shop. Just gotta wait for it to come back, and then I'll have that, and I can start doing hot shaping, which is exactly what that will be. All right, for now, I'm gonna clean these holes up and tie string to them. So at least we have that part done, and then when we have on Thursday the top part cut out, I can just straight away attach these to that. Then we'll see if these are all laying crazy directions, which I really hope they aren't. check chat real quick, see if anybody has any questions or comments. Nothing. All right. All right, that's string that I bought to do this project. Okay. Just so I don't immediately saw through the string when I put it on there, I'm going to clean the insides of these a little bit too. that that's in. I can see a little few burrs on the inside. Alright, I actually enjoy doing these little by hand cleanup jobs. Alright. Okay, those are all in. Okay. So I want it to sit. Doesn't need to sit far from that ring because the ring's straight above it. So really only going to need. If I cut off like. Yeah, I think I'll go about my railroad tie length, whatever that is. I think that should give me enough. Then although it would be harder for me to get the exact length than if I just tie a square knot. It's one of my favorite knots. Flush with it. And a very strong knot. If I tie that, then this coming up will be a little bit easier. And I can adjust it because it's a loop. If I need to move it a little bit, I can just move this whole knot over. Well, I actually don't know if that is going to work. I suppose it doesn't need to be too heavy duty. It's just a wind chime. Although that's kind of heavy for that little thing. Alright, that's what I'm going to go with for now. I think I cut myself. Alright. Kind of hard to keep tension down on this so it's flush and get the right angle and all that, but I got it. Oh yeah, there we go. So now these won't be exactly the same length, and I'll probably trim off this little bit hanging over, but now that I have this length here, when I tie them off, I can adjust the length from there to make sure they're the same height. swear I'm gonna get one of those copyright flags on one of my streams for the damn ice cream truck driving by. Sure, this would be easier to do without my little sausage fingers. Somehow, I'm getting worse at this. I just had a thought. If I tightened it just on the pipe and then pushed it, I could roll it up over here and that would keep it pretty tight. And that would be uniform, relatively. If I run into issues down the line, that's what I'll do. Okay, so there, those are all tied. I have something. I'm not going to worry about it for right now. I don't think. Yeah, it'll be fine. Yes, damn ice cream truck. Alright, so I have these pieces, which obviously are the chimes. I have the part that these tie to. That's what I'm going to pick up at the metal shop tomorrow. Then the rest of it's string up to a hook. So I have to figure out the hook, which I'm still procrastinating on because it'd be so much easier to do with my torch up and running. That regulator should arrive any day now. I should probably call him tomorrow, actually, since I'll be on that side of town. Only other thing I need is a fan for the bottom. So that's parts of it. Well, and a striker on the inside. So there's a wood or metal or whatever striker that hangs down in the middle between all those, and that's what gets blown around and hits and clanks off of them. And that's also tied all the way down to some sort of metal fan. Or not, doesn't have to be metal. Mine's going to be. But something down there to catch the wind to cause that clacker to move around and bounce off these. So that fan is something I can make. Should be relatively thin, or relatively light metal, because the more the wind pushes it around, the better. So I'm thinking probably use aluminum. Use aluminum for that. I don't know if I want to mix aluminum and steel in the same project, not for any like technical reasons. I just don't know if I want to do it. I have some thinner plate steel that I could use that I think would be just fine. So I think we're going to do that. So, right size, I'm going to be using a 6-inch circle, a 6-inch pipe for the top of this, so they'll be sitting in probably an 8-inch, like on the outside edge, because they're going to tie to the middle, so then their outside edge on both sides will stick out. So probably looking straight down on it, it'll be like an 8-inch footprint. So I'm thinking if I do an 8-inch sail on there, hang it, make like a rounded off on the corners, like rectangle, so diamond, and hang it from one of the edges. I think that'll look kind of cool. And should still fit within the same footprint. If you're looking all the way down, you won't see the fin sticking like way out to the side. It'll be compact enough to catch some wind. I mean, it's not like an actual sail. I don't need that much wind caught, but I think that'll work. So, I'll just bring my metal over, start cutting. Okay. Sure, I'll use that when I'm cutting. Alright. I don't think that's going to be big enough. Alright, so an 8 by 8, I can use this factory edge down here. Although, if I do it 8 by 8, it'll be longer crossways, so it actually would stick out around the footprint. So, why don't I just stick with 6 inches? Which also means I can use my smaller square. It's a little easier. Alright. So you use a factory edge on one side. I always like doing that because I can cheat. Normally I put the long side on there, but this is a square. 6 inches and 6 inches. I got 6 inches there. I should line up with my mark. I do. Alright. Okay, there's our 6 by 6 square. Yeah, let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, we're at 8.5. So, if it is hanging out past the footprint, which I'm going to round these corners off anyway, so it probably wouldn't, it would only be by a 1/4 inch. So, on either side. So as long as I just round these corners, I don't think you'll be able to see it. But, good thing I thought of that. Alright. I was going to say, normally I'd clamp this down. So I am going to clamp it down. Having the railroad piece on there, railroad track, just helps kind of stop the vibration in the steel as I'm cutting it. But, alright. Let's hack this out. Oh good, more Windows sounds doinging in my ear. That's always fun. What failed now? I'll check it here in a second. Alright. Looks like my mic's still working. We're still streaming. Alright. Windows just let me know it's still alive. This is yet another wheel for the angle grinder that's also dangerous. And if you're not careful, these little thin cutting discs can explode, and they just blow shrapnel all over the place, and they'll stick into you and everything else. So again, heavier duty gloves, love the apron, and face shield. And don't look straight down the blade. Stand off to the side. Alright. happened yesterday with this damn disc. All right. Alright, I should be able to make my next 2 cuts. Alright. I have a little dent in my metal on the edge, and it's bugging me. Alright, it's fixed. I absolutely didn't need to do that, but it's bugging me. Alright. So I was thinking about too, some of these wind chimes that I saw in some of the like garden stores that I went to had like little scenes on the tops of them. So where that round part is, where all of them are hanging around, that was more like a platform and had like a little scene of horses frolicking or dragons or something like that. And I have a resin 3D printer, so I could very easily print little scenes, and I've been painting models for years, so I could paint up some of those little models and have them on there too. Add something to it. sure if that's why somebody's going to buy a wind chime, though. You know what? I'm just going to round these corners over. So I should just do this with a grinder. I like doing stuff by hand, but if I'm just going to be using the grinder anyway on it, I might as well. That's what I need to do too. I need to get some more discs. More discs, more welding wire. There's a bunch of things I gotta get. I've been doing a lot of metalworking lately. I'm hoping within the next couple months, getting a big enough stock and portfolio together to where I can start going to like farmers markets and that and selling this stuff. That's the goal. bad. Thought maybe I was gonna like the sharper angles, but I don't. So off they come. For little work like this, I like the files just because I feel like I have a little more control. That grinder does great for removing metal, but when I want a little more control over how much metal I'm removing, it's much nicer. I have gouged a lot of projects with grinders. It's not the grinder's fault. The grinder's doing what it does, which is removes metal, and a lot of it, quickly. There we go. Nicer rounded bits. There we go. Round these edges over. Make sure if anybody touches it, it doesn't cut them. That'd be fairly horrible. Sell something to somebody and it hurts them. All right. So we have a pretty nice little piece of metal here. I'm gonna sand on it a little. Yeah, I use the SOS pad to remove any little surface rust. Not that I have to worry about too much rust, because I'm probably going to be not putting a finish on this. So it'll get that rustic look anyway. Alright, so there we go. We have our nice little dull coated fan. So when the time comes, I'll drill a little hole in the top, which I suppose there's no reason why that time hasn't come now. Getting ahead of myself, I should really put a punch mark in this. Sweaty enough without having to wear that damn thing. Alright. I think just to keep it the same, I'll do the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, just so it's 1/2 inch down from the chimes, and I don't know, keeps everything the same. Alright. I put a hell of a dent in it. Okay. Just use the same size drill bit. It's the smallest one I got anyway. Alright. through. All right, this is shaping up nicely. Okay, so there we go. We have our little fan that'll dangle down below. The bars will be here, and then there'll be a clacker in the middle that bangs around on stuff. So, if I made that clacker I could add a little of that country flavor to it, make that clacker in the middle a horseshoe. I think they're supposed to sit flat and round so they have a chance of hitting all of them, whereas a horseshoe would be upside down and would really only bang into a couple. I mean, it might turn and bounce off of them. Maybe for now just stick with basic shapes and then branch out into the specialized horse people stuff later. Alright, so I'm going to leave this not tied because I think this will tie up. It's got to tie onto that clacker, but that clacker can't obviously slide up and down, so I can't just run through the middle of it. Maybe I'll just drill 2 holes. I'll leave this off for now. Figure out the rest of that at that time. Alright, so that's done. Now the hook. Ugh, I'm procrastinating. I do have some chain that I literally have just for projects like this. If I were to cut a segment of chain, like just 3 links, I could just leave it like that. So then somebody could hang it on a nail or a screw. I suppose if they wanted to, they could get a little carabiner and put it through there. But then I just tie everything off to one of the chains. Then later on, when I get my torch up and running, I make some little S-hooks and sell those too. So, let's see. If I were to do that, I'd sell them for like $1. It wouldn't take much. Or just include them with it. But, you know what, for now, I think I'm going to do that. We'll cut off a little segment of chain. There we go. All right. Oh no. That's not scared at all. Alright, I'm just going to make a couple quick little cuts with my angle grinder and be done with it. Thought about doing just like a chunk of steel pipe for the inside, for that clacker, but I don't know. I don't know if that would give me the results I'm looking for. Several of them at those garden stores and that were just made out of wood. One was made out of, well, a whole series of them was made out of that resin, little figurines and that. But I don't know if I trust that resin. Don't know much else. Alright. Friction was so much on such a small area that it actually, this little piece in the middle that I cut out was red hot. That little piece. Probably. Yep. Quench that little thing before tossing it in the trash bucket. So, there we go. Okay. Small little segment of chain. I'll tie that off to it, and then later on, if I make a little S hook, I can just attach it to it. All right. So we have all the pieces that we can make right now. Only thing left would be the little chime, or the little striker piece in the middle, and then the loop around there. But I'm gonna get the loop tomorrow at the metal shop. Decided now I am gonna go, and I'll think more on that little clacker striker thing. Let's see. How much time do I have? Oh, 9 minutes. Alright, not much. Oh, moderators banned somebody. Must have been a person selling views or whatever the hell they think that I'm desperate enough to buy. Well, let's see. Alright, well, I think that's about it for today. Got the stuff cleaned up and that and ready for the wind chime. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back to working on the Mandalorian chest plate. Although, technically, I'll be working on the back plate. Because the chest, we finished up by getting the Mandalorian heart on there, or the Beskar heart on there. So, now that this has its angles in there, and this is the first rough pass. So this is not, I mean, obviously you can tell it's not cleaned up and polished up perfectly. There's still a couple dents that need to be, parts that need to be dented in, other parts that need to be brought up to give it a nice smooth finish. But all the pieces are attached, all the outside welds in that are off. There's a little bit of grinding that needs to be done on the sides here, but that's all like polishing, finishing work at the end. So for now, the chest piece is pretty much done. We're just going to finish the back plate. So, putting this away for now. And with that, we're going to be using the... Don't have it in here. Alright, it's out in the metal pile, but it's just 1/4 inch rod that's going to connect. That's going to go all the way around this inside. I'll leave the gap for the shoulder straps there. But it's going to connect here and across here and do these little side panels. I haven't decided what I'm going to do on the back as far as these gaps. I may just throw a slight little angled piece in there and weld it in. Here on the back, on the bottom, I think it's just going to be kind of one big piece that articulates off the back there. So it's going to be flat. It's not going to be detailed like the front one will be. So this down here won't need much other than just that 1/4 inch steel kind of coming all the way around. So I think it's just going to be 1/4 inch steel all the way around this thing. Right here there'll be a little angle point and then 1/4 inch. So that shouldn't take near as long as the front piece did, because we're using a lot of the same principles but less of the fancy stuff. The front got a lot more fancy stuff than the back will get, because the back is also going to have just a cape over it anyway, so, or a cloak. So I'm just doing this for me, really, and to make it much more rigid. Right now it's steel, but it's still very flexible, just because it's a flat piece of steel. Whereas if we take this piece, this is not flexible at all. Yeah. So you can see adding pieces makes it much more rigid, much stronger. Heavier too, but not enough to matter. Once you resign to wearing steel all day, you're wearing steel all day. So, alright. So that'll be tomorrow's video, and then I'll be picking up the rest of the stuff so I can hopefully finish the wind chimes on Thursday. And then Thursday is going to be my last day this week. I won't be streaming on Friday. So, alright, I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Look at that, we're ending early. Oh no. I'll clean up the shop. If anybody needs anything, just post in chat and I will reply. See ya.